reading today. This is not my model. It's a model I've been working with since 2017. When I first saw John Izzo on PBS, and he wrote this book, 5 Thieves of Happiness. And it was a random day. I was making lunch, and the living room wasn't the same place as the kitchen, and I got an inspiration, why don't you sit down with your lunch? So I went in and I just turned PBS on, and here's John, and it was the week he was launching this book, and he was speaking of the thieves of happiness, what gets in our way. And that week his mom died. The week he was so excited he's launching his book, he's got this big talk on PBS and his mom dies. So he had an immediate opportunity of how to work with these thieves. And so he spent a lot of years, he's wrote some other books, but, okay, let me just collect myself for just a moment, as I got a little ahead of myself and anxious, but because I'm excited about this work. So the 5 thieves, I've listed those here, and I'm just going to go over them briefly so that we can look at these thieves of what get in our way: control, conceit, coveting, consumption, and comfort. The Buddha sees the same hindrances in holding us back from meditation. So we have sensory desire, ill will, sloth, restlessness, and doubt. And I think I've been wanting to do this talk for years on this because I read the book, I studied it, I did the 30 days afterwards, I started recording in my mind and in life what is stealing, what thief showed up today. So control, that looks like it's pretty obvious. Oh, I'm trying to control the situation, I want my outcome. But what I found is it's the subtleties underneath the control, those ones that we don't recognize, that we're trying to make things happen in our life. And the subtle thief that gets in, starts stealing your control when I want the weather to be different. I wanted my outcome to be different. I was going to go here. I was so well prepared. This morning I was really well prepared, I thought. And something as simple as I couldn't find the lid to my teacup, so I wouldn't spill it in the car. I mean, that distracted me. So I found myself running late, which, I was trying to control the situation. Well, it drops down to like conceit. I'm so important, my cup's so important that I need to do all of this before I can show up. And so conceit takes it's not just our major importance that I know the best way and I've done the best studies and I'm going to bring you these practices. This is my self-importance, that what did I put in front of what I needed to do? I'm so important. My cup was so important. And then that stole something from me this morning because I was shaky when I got here. I was rushing. And so I did take the cup to the car without a lid, and I took it very slowly because I was sure I was going to trash everything else I was carrying. So when we start looking at the way the thieves show up in our life, and I wrote tons of notes, and this morning I woke up with, you have to live this stuff. You have to get deep in our hearts with it. So then when we've got our conceit, but then we start coveting, I want this or I want that, and then that gets into a subtle subcategory. The way it was presented was like, he had an idea, a man had an idea, he wanted to go on a great big trip, and this was his bucket list. And he shared the idea with a friend, and a friend went and took that trip and then put pictures on Facebook, and he was super mad because it was like, that was his big trip. And so how many times does that show up in my life? That, dang it, I wanted that first. I have great desires to make some debt cards and things, and there was a time when my daughter was with me and she said, Mom, they made that into a book, your idea. And I said, Spirit drops it, and anybody that picks it up gets it. It's just when we're willing to show up and we're willing to take a look at what's going on in our house. And so the coveting, I see that showing up in a lot of different ways. And then consumption and comfort. I always want to wear that favorite pair of slippers. I want to have my TV remote in a certain place. All of these things. Well, they didn't put the toilet lid down. They didn't, turn the light off. any of those things that disturb our comfort, those are the things that are getting in our house to steal our happiness and joy. And then the consumption, well, every time I go to this restaurant, this is what I eat. And now they don't have it, or they've changed it. And so part of this whole concept is, what does it start out with? What's the opposite of control? It is surrender. So we got to surrender to what is, and also accept the hard facts that there's going to be sorrow, there's going to be pain, there's going to be bad weather, and then there's also going to be a ton of joy and light and sunshine. So we do get the opposites, and it's how we're looking at those. And our consumption, it's not just what we put in our mouths, it's what we put in our minds, in our hearts, what's on our screen, those things that get in the way, that keep us. So one of the statements that came in very clearly was, anytime we put, when I get this, when this happens, when I feel, we already know there's a thief in the house. Because we're already putting it on, this has to happen before I can find my joy. This has to happen. I have to have the right friends, the right car, whatever that might be. So those are all really good ways for us to start looking at when these thieves show up, and how to go backwards into, what was I feeling in that moment. Doug had some really good ideas for me today on this talk. And in that moment, I was feeling a little insecure of, oh my gosh, I don't know that I can accept it. And I got triggered that he was trying to take over my talk or something of that nature. But when I really sat with that for a few moments, I could come back around to, I wasn't feeling confident. I woke up with, I thought I had it. And then as soon as there was a moment, it was like, so that thief jumped right in. And because I believe that I've been getting this work ready, I've really been attuned, really hyper vigilant on the thieves that are showing up right now. And so I can really see them, and I can see how they're showing up in our lives. One of the biggest things is turning things into mantras, changing ideas into mantras that we can use to shift the way, like if we're looking at something with comfort, I am not my patterns. Just because this is my habitual channel does not mean it serves me. I can choose a new path. So sometimes when we're just needing to get out of that moment, we can create a mantra, we can use other people's mantras, but the mantras have to run enough that they change, get us off that gerbil wheel, so we're not just running that same thought over and over. So sometimes the mantras have to be run that often. So coveting, life is not a contest. I will be grateful for what I have and who I am. I will celebrate the success of others, for when I celebrate for others, I am happy. And I know for a fact that when I celebrate someone else's joy or their accomplishments, mine are soon to follow. And the more joy I bring to the table for them, the more I can give that. So often even surrendering it to someone, let them have that idea, it's okay. Spirit has another one for me. Something was just said about ideas. And I'm just like, here they are. So the control mantra, I choose to be in the present moment and to embrace whatever it is. Happiness is not the outcome I seek. Happiness is comes from contentment. So when we have all of these things lining up in our world, then there's a sense of contentment, and we're not reacting and triggering. And these are some things I've been working with, and I just wanted to bring that to you today, just briefly, to talk about, maybe this is something that we'd even want to explore in book study. If anybody was interested, that I would love to take a thief a week, maybe 5-6 weeks, and we share and read it, and then come in and talk about those experiences, because we can grow together with it. And so I wanted to bring that today to share with you. And if there's any questions or you find value in it, I know that when we find value in a system, then every question but you. No. And we put a lot of effort in it if it has value to us. So yes, I asked for questions.
I can't help but sit here and be scanning that in my own life and stuff, and so I can understand that sometimes when I'm just working on being helpful or participating in a conversation with ideas, it can look like I'm coveting or taking over. And that was my part of the Thieves this morning, is that my enthusiasm, or perhaps I need to relook at it, and I was coveting more than I realized, to help protect my loved ones from myself. And that's my part of what we went through to prepare for this morning.
And that's, that is what it takes for us to keep looking at it and to keep being humble and open enough to go back and say, hey, maybe I was the one. Maybe I was the one today that stole some joy. And then maybe remembering how much we steal it from ourselves. So anytime we're stealing it from someone else, we're really stealing it from ourselves, right? We take it from ourselves. And the more we have to give to ourselves, the more we can expand and give to others. So I support self-care as always. And I appreciate y'all listening today. Yes, please.
You're taking questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I understand 1, 2, and 3. How would you interpret 4 and 5? I'm looking at 5, and right away I thought of food, like consuming food.
Well, and comfort is like, I need to have this, I'm not happy unless I have my fuzzy blanket.
Yeah.
And if I, this is the coat I always wear, and now that coat's ripped, I could get mad. I could get frustrated that those things they're not my usual, that's not my usual channel, right? And so that channel changed on me,
Yeah.
so it disturbed my comfort. So disturbing our comfort, I had a mother that if her remote wasn't there, the house went upside down if she did not have her TV remote, because that's where it always went. So it was a thief for her. It made her very angry.
Yes.
The rest of us like, oh, sorry, it slipped out of the chair, that kind of thing. And then the consumption, kind of would think about food or drugs or alcohol or something of that nature. However, it's really something to look at when we're consuming too much negative energy, when we're consuming too much outside social media or whatever it is that starts taking away from our joy. All of a sudden we're angry. Maybe you were in a really great mood and we're feeling good and went to look for something inspirational and you dove down that rabbit hole and you read this whole thing, and before you knew it, you were really angry. And that wasn't even yours. That was somebody else's stuff. Yeah.
Sometimes there's an opportunity for me to consume something when I'm being there for someone and being supportive and listening. And I listened to 3 or 4 people's tragedy in a time period. I have consumed it, and if I don't work with that, move it, what am I consuming?
That answered that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, because I was looking at comfort and I was like, well, maybe that's if you're too comfortable and you're not growing, you're not moving, you're kind of like just you're just comfortable where you are and you're not growing. That's what I thought. Like,
And
you
that
could
is
just
part
get
of it too.
stagnant.
Sure.
Okay.
That's part of it too. And that's why I was talking about, I found these subcategories.
Yeah.
It's not just a blanket statement that we read and go, okay, I get that. It was when I took the deeper dive. And then the more I explore each one, the more I find they weave over the top of each other. Oh, I had some conceit. I had control. I had multiple things going on, which makes it very tricky. It's tricky to find out what's happening in us.
So it's different for each person. That's
Sure,
different
how it's
for
going to
each
show
person.
up for you,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Okay.
Because what comforts me may not comfort you,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
what I'm back here hearing with comfort is how many times have I kept my mouth shut and been like, I am not comfortable in this situation. I'm not comfortable in this conversation. I'm not, that's a comfort thief when I'm extending myself to someone or
Amen.
something.
Not to
I
be
do that.
aware. Yes, Eileen.
I have done that.
Especially healers and everyone really here that comes to this congregation, works in the healing fields, we're all offering healing and we're all absorbing things from others. And so we have to remember what we do, check in, is that mine, is that theirs? But if we don't even know we've absorbed it, or we're not paying attention to how uncomfortable we're becoming, because things start happening in us. Our body starts giving us little signals. Our mind gives us little signals, and then we forget. And we go back to our old, proverbial channel. It's good, it's good, it's all good. Well, sometimes it's not good. And sometimes we need to, this is what it's about. If you had a thief in your house, you'd beef up your locks, you'd, start cleaning the house, that sort of thing. And so that's really what this is about, is they're trying to steal our happiness. So how do we clean our house internally and externally to keep ourselves in a better state of happiness, joy, awe, love, gratitude? Those are those main ones that keep us every time. If we can go back to those same feelings each time, that's what brings us there. So, thank you.
Thank you.